Okay, so here we are. We're back in the Pittsburgh Artist studio, and today we are going to be speaking to Kristen. And I don't want to say your last name wrong. So,
It's Postava, like post office, and lava without the L.
oh, okay, all right, Postava. And Kristen is an artist from the Pittsburgh area. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that she's involved in. And I guess we can start with your background if you want to tell the listeners some of your background and what you do.
Well, I grew up here in Pittsburgh. I've lived in the same house my entire life. So I've always been here. When I went to college, I did school for becoming an educator. So I'm currently a special education teacher. I've worked at Disney World. I've worked a ton of different places, but I really just kind of got into painting within the last couple of years.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of else for like background information.
Well, what kind of painting do you do? Is it like with acrylics or oils?
Right. I mainly use acrylics.
Okay. Yeah, that's my I like working with acrylics too. I've worked in other mediums as well, but I seem to just always go back to the acrylics. It's always easier to work in.
Right. And I like to paint fast. So I need it to kind of dry. I'll even bring a hair dryer down and just
dry it real quick.
Dry it as fast as I possibly can to move on to the next thing I want to do with it. So
yeah, that's nice. Well, tell us about this project that you're involved in.
Oh, so when I went to Arizona a couple of years back, I was walking around the town and I happened to find a piece of art that somebody had put up on the wall. And when I turned it around, it said that it was that city's Art and Seek program. I thought that was a really, really cool idea. And I know that there are some artists in town that specifically will hide their own art that you have to go look for if you go into Twitter. But there wasn't from my knowledge, there wasn't a group kind of city organization where anybody could donate their art and like hiding it out in the city for people to find.
Yeah.
So it's a Facebook page called Art and Seek PGH for Pittsburgh. And anybody can hide their art at any time in the city and just hope that other people find it.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Yeah, that's nice. Well, you'll have to give me that link so I can put that in the information section here on YouTube. Now, you have a YouTube channel also?
I do not. I did, but when all the things changed this January, I decided to take it down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. I mean, it's kind of nice to have people be able to go to the different places where you're at. So that's why I asked, because
I did a ton of YouTube videos about like opening boxes and things like that. But around the beginning of the year, they kind of cracked down on any show that could be geared toward a younger audience because there's that YouTube.
Right.
So
right. Yeah. So most of what I try to do is just say it's not for kids.
Right. Well, of course.
Yeah. And I took the ones down that were kind of specific to the kids, like paintings and stuff. So I kind of go towards the adult audience now. But well, tell us a little bit about the art that you do. What type of work?
So I mainly do painting. And I will manipulate photographs. So those are my two main styles of art that I do. I started didn't begin painting on canvas. I like using recycled materials. Oh. So I would find things like old windows or old cabinets that just people weren't using anymore. And I would use those as the backdrop for whatever I was going to paint. So a lot of times when I would have that object, I wouldn't know what I was going to paint on it at the beginning. So I would have to kind of live with whatever it was that I was going to paint on for a while until it kind of an idea would come into my head and I knew what I wanted to put on it. I always felt like, okay, this is going to be the only giant window I ever get. So I better have a really good idea before I start.
Oh, yeah. Well, my daughter had done something a few years back. She kind of like takes after me on that side of it, the art part, but she thinks out of the box. Like I'm more realism, but she thinks out of the box like that. And she got like uh, a bicycle wheel and did some work. She got some old cans, like from Coke cans and things like that, and made roses and stuck them on this.
Oh, that's
Um,
fantastic. Was the tire like
it was
as
the
if you were on
rim.
a bike, or was it around like a mobile if she were hanging
Well, no, well, you can hang it like a picture. It's just
it?
the rim, like the spokes or what the spokes of the, wheel. And yeah, I really liked it. She was trying to enter it into a contest, but they rejected it for some reason. And I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, because I would have never thought of something like that. And she's done pieces where she puts things on a canvas, so it's kind of nice when you can think out of the box that way. I'm like so traditional. It's
Well, in college, I took an art class, and I did art history, and then I actually took one where I was creating. And I knew everybody that was in the class was actually in there to become an artist, which I wasn't. I was just kind of going for the fun of it.
Mhm.
And the teacher I had, the professor that was there, was fantastic. Um, and although we did some traditional things, there was a lot of dig through this kind of dumpy area of the art room that everybody's been shoving their stuff in for years and
Mhm.
pick things out of there to create something.
Mhm.
And we had the whole campus to work with. Sometimes we would take people on like a trek to get to our art. We'd have to find it, somewhere. So it was nice that I kind of got both styles of teaching.
Yeah.
That were a
Yeah.
little more with the style, the skills involved, and some people who were just kind of like, let's just see what we can do.
Right, right. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I had a teacher like that too, where we had done some abstract expressionism and, that was like out of my comfort zone because I'm so realistic about everything. But I've done things where I've put photographs together and painted, a scene, but like they're two different things and I kind of combined them. So I kind of do that, but it's kind of nice when you can just like be able to look at something and then think about what can I do with this.
Right,
I
right.
like that. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So well then, so how did you actually get into this art world, of creating and
Um, Again, I was always kind of interested in it, and I think I was like anybody else who is an artist and has that stereotype against their own work.
Mhm.
I never thought anything I was doing was good or worthwhile, but I would paint things for myself that I enjoyed.
Mhm.
Um, and I kind of evolved to come to the conclusion that there isn't such a thing as bad art or good art. Everything that is
Right.
created by anybody is just something that didn't exist before, whether the piece of art exists for a moment or for
Mhm.
years. Um, each piece of art is just completely individualized to that person.
Right.
And that kind of is what made my brain switch over to saying, I'm an artist. And
Mhm.
that was where everything kind of moved, forward from there.
Mhm.
Um, I had a gallery show here. It's a Ketchup City Creative, which is a small little gallery in Sharpsburg. But
Mhm.
it was my own show, the whole thing. And it was called Silver Linings, A Study in Happiness.
Mhm. Oh,
So, all of the artwork was, all of the photographs that were there were something bad that had happened to me that I
oh,
chose to make into something positive.
positive. Oh, cool. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I had walked outside one morning and started my car, and as I started moving, it sounded like somebody had dropped a whole bag of marbles in my back seat, and I looked and realized that I had no back window, it was gone.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So,
Oh,
of course, I'm going, "Oh, what do I do here?"
yeah.
And, I ended up realizing that it was gonna cost $400 that I didn't have at that moment to
Oh,
replace the
sure. Yeah.
windshield.
Yeah.
So I took some photographs of the back of the car and realized that there was all this color and texture because of the broken glass and the
Mhm.
reflection of my tree and stickers that had been in the window. And as I took pictures of the broken glass, I realized each one of them was a different art piece. It was like a little series called Unbroken. And I ended
Mhm.
up selling each print of that
Oh,
for
wow.
$40, and I raised exactly $400 to get my window fixed.
Oh, how nice. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, art for me, art just comes out of left field.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so many times, like I was the same. I started out young though. I mean, but I never thought I was any good. And then when I went to college, I took some art classes and I started getting better, and then if you belong to some of these organizations, well, that can be pretty painful because the critiques can kill you, and
Like,
or
say what you want about it. As long as I like it, okay. If
well,
you don't
that's
like it,
it.
don't like it, whatever.
I started thinking, well, I don't really need somebody to tell me it looks all right. I feel it looks good. That's all that matters. So yeah, you do hit those spots where people just, I don't know if it's jealousy or what it is, but yeah, yeah, you just feel that like I'm not good enough, but you are, because everybody can create their own way.
Right. And it's just, I think it's almost, and I know people have to make their living out of art. That's what they've chosen to do with their life. And I get that. But as just somebody who's not doing that, there's no reason not to create something if you feel it. If you feel like you want to do it, don't let the fact that other people might not like it stop you from doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's just a loss to the planet of not having that thing that you could have made. So
right. And to yourself, I think it's a loss to yourself too. Right. So, well, where do you get your inspiration, like for these things?
Looking around, when I walk, I tend to look for colors and textures. I walk around a lot within my town and just kind of neighboring towns. When I go on vacation, I look around. I really get called to colors and textures as I'm walking. If it's a photograph that I'm going to end up manipulating and trying to pull the colors out of, it honestly started because I have a really bad phone with a really bad camera. And as I was starting to try and enhance the pictures, I realized I could do things with it. So that really made me interested visually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the manipulated pictures really come from. As far as the paintings, sometimes it's an idea that is kind of just bouncing around in my head for a few days. And sometimes I will just sit down with a blank canvas and some colors that I'm feeling at the moment and see what I can do. Again, I kind of do fast art where I start just putting colors down and then something might come out of it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. See, I'm totally different. But it's interesting to hear this because of like the way I am, I have to look at a picture and then create it from there, but yeah, it's kind of neat when this comes out of your mind. And that's how my daughter is. Yeah. Just
your neurons just moving around like it.
Yeah.
You think how do you see the world a little bit differently than how I see the world on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It makes it more exciting.
It does
to me. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, right now I'm working on a little pig, and I found a picture on Pixels that like it. I'm trying to put my own swing to it, but yeah, I just can't like sit here and think, oh yeah, I could draw that pig out of my brain. I have to look at it. I have to like actually see it.
Nothing I really paint, it comes out realistic. It does. I don't know how to do lighting and shading and things like that are technical kind of skills. I don't have that in my wheelhouse. But
well, but I think what you do is more of what people look at too. Like as far as the art world right now, they look at that thinking out of the box. How many people have been realistic? There's so many artists that are like that. So when you do something more creative and different, that's what people like to see. Especially even abstracts and things. People are into that right now. It seems like, from what I see on these different Instagram and things like that, where I see these different artists. So it's pretty neat when you can think out of the box like that.
Thank you.
So, so whenever you have a creative block, how do you get out of that? Are you ever like in a block where you can't think of something? And
so, yeah, of course. I mean, there are times when I sit down and go, there's have a thought in my head to start out with. That's when I just kind of pick the colors out and start going. My thought is always, if I just move forward, something's going to come out of it. You know, if I sat there with just staring at the piece of canvas and I had a block, okay, you know, it might be the best work I've ever done, and it might be something I don't really like, but that might spark the next idea that's coming out of my head.
Okay.
It's almost like a chain reaction that happens once I start doing something, and then the colors will come out at me, or where they've landed come out, and they make an idea, you know, something in my head.
I see. It's something like writing, I guess. You know, some people just put something down, or like with music and writing lyrics, you know. I interviewed somebody a few weeks ago that like they'll put things down, and then all of a sudden all this stuff comes into their head, you know, and I think, wow, that's amazing to me. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
You know, the last couple of days I had been on one of my friend's Facebook pages, and she's out west and had taken a really cool video, 40 seconds long, of a koi pond. Well, just seeing like the water, the green of the water, and how the white sun was reflecting off the top of it with the koi fish with the oranges and the reds underneath. I ended up making a piece of abstract art kind of around that idea. It's not, you can't look at it and when you look at it, you know it's a koi fish, but it doesn't realistically look like a koi fish. It's more the feeling of koi fish and the color of koi fish and the texture of koi fish.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, see, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Like that. Well, you were recently in the Art All Night.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Have you talked about Art All Night Pittsburgh?
No, not yet. I had put a painting in there also, but was it like your face that you did? I mean, I didn't know what you
I did. I ended up choosing a painting that I did that's kind of like it's almost like a skull-like face in the corner with some black and gray around it, as if it's very alone. I love horror movies, so I kind of tried to give it more of a natural animal skull-like feel.
Okay.
With and the lips are sewn shut.
Oh, okay.
I wanted it to have a very lonely,
eerie kind of thing,
eerie feeling to it, that you were disturbed when you looked at it. I actually painted it. I wasn't feeling good, obviously. You know, you have some things in your own mind that you need to get out. My mom passed away in December.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. And I was her caregiver for 10 years. She was bedridden, so I was going through the end of her life when I painted that one. But on a lighter note, with Art All Night Pittsburgh, if whoever's listening right now, in Pittsburgh for a 22-hour period, every end of April, anybody who is an artist in Pittsburgh, whether you be a child or a full-grown adult, you can put one piece of art into it. It's music, poetry, storytelling, visual arts, sculpture. So, and you bring your pieces there. Normally it's in a warehouse. The last 2 years have been virtual because of COVID.
Yes.
You bring your pieces the day of the show. They hang them. The show starts that night from 4 all night long until 2 the next day. And then you come back and get your piece the next day. But it's a lot of fun, especially when it's not virtual. Virtual is great. And it's so great that everybody worked on it and worked so hard to get it done so we can have something. But there's nothing like everybody being together in the warehouse with the music. And
I agree. Yeah, I've been in it for a few years too, and it's nice to see but when you're there, there's just I don't know, just the ambiance of the whole thing. It's amazing. You know, you just feel
really great.
Yeah, and all the different pieces that you see, and like you said, the music, and you're watching people paint, and you know, these huge canvases. It's really
There's
unique.
So many fun, cool people there. You know, you get to meet so many cool people that are hanging out. That's also really fun. The socialization aspect of it.
True. There's so many good artists in Pittsburgh, and
there really are.
Yeah, you know, we don't get enough recognition for that. I mean, you could go to New York or Chicago, and you know, there's like so many artists, and they get these big shows. But here, we don't have that kind of thing. You know, I mean, you have some of the different art galleries, but they're not like those big ones. You know.
Yeah, I'll tell you. A couple of things that I really enjoy with Pittsburgh. well, first is, if you don't know Baron Batch, he was a Steeler, and he's an artist now, with awesome work. And he sells it, but he also hides it around the city. So he was another inspiration for the Art All Night PGH program that I do. But he does really great stuff. And then I was trying to think of I had somebody else in my head. Baron Batch, Pittsburgh Artists. Oh, Jeremy Raymer.
Okay.
Who does a lot of the murals around the city.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoy his work. My best friend and I have actually been trying to spend time on the weekends to go around and find as many of the murals, not just his, but anybody's.
Right.
Here in the city. So I like the outdoor art that,
I do too.
Gallery.
Right. I wasn't it the Sprout organization that did a lot of those murals on buildings.
I'm sure you're right.
And I always wanted to be involved in that. Now I'm afraid because I'm older and I don't want to get up on a ladder or whatever you have to do, to get up there high. But I mean, to be able to do that on that huge canvas, that mural type thing, but that's huge and it's just so beautiful,
Yeah.
And as I say, we have so many treasures hidden and we just don't get to see it,
I was just in north side in a parking lot, and somebody had done this amazing face spray painted on just this tiny little fence that was in the parking lot. You would never know unless you were right there. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that people just put out there. And
I know. It's really nice. Yeah, I wish we would. Well, there used to be a really nice in the South Side, a gallery, and I was kind of involved in a couple of the shows there, and it was called Gallery Sim, and I just loved that place. And then it closed. One gallery that was nice to me. I mean, where are they? There was one over in I think that was actually the North Side. Fine Gallery, if I'm not mistaken, was the name of it. We did a show there. I belong to some different organizations. I don't belong to as many as I used to, but and they just closed. They just closed down.
Well, here in Sharpsburg, I don't know if you know this, we have 2 art galleries down here. One's called, I believe it's Zinco. It's a upscale kind of art gallery that recently opened within the last maybe year and a half. But we also have Ketchup City Creative, which is a much more kind of accessible space. And they do gallery shows there, and they also kind of rent out the space to different artists who need some place to do something. Yeah. So that's Ketchup City Creative is really cool.
Nice. Well, it was really nice talking to you, Kristen.
Nice talking to you.
Yes, and if you can send me those links so I can put that down in the information section, that would be great. Because I like for people to be able to access some of your information and some of your pieces that you do. If you have anything that's on display in any of those social medias, that would be great.
And if I hide a piece, I'd like for people to be able to know
Find
what
it
would be. Yeah.
That would be nice too.
I do it. So it would be great.
Well, do you do it all over? Is it in Sharpsburg, or do you do?
I'll hide it all over.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, it was really great talking to you. I enjoyed this very much.
It was nice talking to you too. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, yes. It was great. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye. I'm going to end this now.